This UConn women's basketball game on SNY is brought to you by Connecticut Lighting Centers and Restoration Lighting Gallery Center. So much more than just a lighting store. UConn women's basketball on SNY, brought to you by the all-new 2019 Subaru Forester, fully redesigned inside and out for all you love this fall. By UConn Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine team doctors for the UConn Huskies. By Town Fair Tire, every brand at the guaranteed lowest price. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire, nobody. And by Toyota. Let's go places. And we welcome you courtside here at the XL Center alongside Megan Como. I'm Eric Freed. It's great to have you with us. UConn is 5-0 on the season, but not every win has been the same, especially that win against St. John's in St. Thomas. Just a 10-point win.
Yeah, you know, that game, they were behind for most of the game, and they had to gut it out. But, you know, fans have a tendency, as do some media folks, to only remember March and April, the end of the season when you're playing your best. I liken the basketball season to childbirth. You have this, you end up with this beautiful baby, but you don't remember the pain and the agony throughout. St. John's was agony, but you know what? You got to get through it to get to the end.
Says the mother of three, so she's an expert in many categories. Well, let's talk about this matchup here today, because this could be an extended period of labor, if I may continue it here, against a pretty good DePaul team. I mean, they're going to fire up threes nonstop, and they're going to try to run up and down the floor with UConn.
They want to play all 94 feet. They jack up threes. Look at that. More than half of their shots are from behind the three-point line. They are difficult to defend. Now, UConn has to play their pace, not get caught up in the frenetic style that DePaul wants to play. I think the winner tonight is going to be who can play their style more effectively.
Should be an entertaining one here tonight in Hartford. UConn has won at Gamble. They won at Mohegan Sun. Now it's their first regular season game at the XL Center. The home winning streak is at 80. DePaul will try to put that streak to the test against UConn. The opening tip is next. Longtime friends who have done some good work together, Gino Auriemma and Doug Bruno, the DePaul head coach and assistant to Gino for Team USA through the years, winning a couple of Olympic titles, getting the rings. They don't get medals, they get rings to commemorate it. So the two friends catching up before the game short time ago. Doug Bruno is using a crutch. You had a chance to spend a lot of time with him today. He's got terrible back pain right now. He's going to have back surgery soon. So I think the doctor said you have to sit down during games, and that's not an option for Doug Bruno.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. He's in an excruciating pain. He's never complains, but he needs that crutch to walk around. I mean, he's had hip stuff, back stuff. I can't even begin to explain it.
Here are tonight's starting lineups presented by Subaru. Bruno's team is 4-2. They won Monday 124-61 over Savannah State. Shante Stonewall, their top scorer and rebounder. UConn is 5-0 using their same starting five. Nafisa Collier was the MVP of the Reef Division at the Paradise Jam. Let's send it over to Justine Ward. Hey, Justine.
Eric, well, Crystal Dangerfield talked to me today about preparing for two tough games this week. She told me the team talked about staying mentally locked in. She told me there was a moment in that down-to-the-wire St. John's game where she said, we got lost. We didn't know where we were going. So the upperclassmen reminded the underclassmen that every time we step on the court, we have to know what we're trying to accomplish. We have to bring a sense of urgency.
You walk onto the court with the point guard for the Huskies in their home gray, getting ready to go here tonight against DePaul. Joe Vasili, Denise Brooks, Tom Donaher, our officiating crew. And we are underway here at the XL Center. DePaul wins the opening tip, and they'll go to work. I mentioned 124 points on Monday night in snowy Chicago. That's a new school record for points in a game for DePaul. They did it without Kelly Campbell. Campbell is playing and starting number 20, junior out of Illinois. Out of New Jersey, beg your pardon, and an early foul. Sonia Morris, Ashton Millender, Campbell, Stonewall, and Marte Grays, the five for DePaul.
Well, you look at this play. Dangerfield gets beat off the dribble, and then I heard the slap from over here, all the way here at half court in our spot. So bad foul, bad way to start the game for UConn defensively.
Sonia Morris is a freshman out of St. Charles, Missouri. Starting her sixth game. Good energy player, according to Doug Bruno. Earned a starting spot Thanks for bringing that energy, and you will see this throughout the night here. DePaul bringing pressure. They want that tempo elevated in this game.
And forcing a turnover, exactly what they want.
Campbell to Morris.
And they're so good at launching threes in transition.
And from anywhere in the court. Collier with the rebound. Dangerfield up to Kristen Williams. Williams, nice little hesitation. Then the explosive drive to the basket for the game's first two for UConn.
Tough play there by the UConn freshman. No doubt in her mind.
Another deep three on the way, and this is good from Millender, the senior from Glenwood, Illinois. She is a shooter, leading the team in threes made in attempt. I guess you could say everyone is a shooter on this team, and UConn wins the race down the court with Williams again.
A long baseball pass to the freshman again works for the Huskies. But it's good for DePaul to be able to knock down shots early. They've struggled against UConn. There with a senseless turnover, the unforced error there. But that previous possession, looks like a tight end. Brady to Gronk there.
Megan Walker trying to post up on the inside. The turnaround, she'll earn a trip to the free throw line.
Great recognition by Walker to post up Campbell in the lane. And gets herself to the line.
Gino Auriemma wants Kristen Williams during shoot-around this afternoon. Gino made it a point to tell his team, we are not double teaming at all. Do not double team, and I think his freshman went over to double.
Gee, that's a shock.
90 seconds of the game, so a little correction going on.
Well, as we saw or heard in the Purdue game in the Virgin Islands, he let her have it, Kristen Williams, and she responded appropriately.
Offensive rebound, Marte Grays pulls it down to the second chance here for DePaul. Stonewall turns around, and Katie Lou Samuelson on the glass.
Wide open shot there. I was surprised. A little breakdown defensively.
Inside, good job by Collier to gather it.
And it looked like Walker and Samuelson bumped each other out of the way for that rebound.
Tipped by Collier.
Good active hands by Nafisa.
Now Dangerfield. Collier drives to the basket. Couldn't get it to go. Was looking for the foul. Nothing called. They play on, and here is Campbell.
We got the A-team officiating crew. Joe Facili said no foul.
Catch and shoot. Millender follows her miss and goes to the basket. DePaul getting some open looks outside the three-point line, doing a good job on the glass, and UConn trying to push back the other way, and a foul called on Millender.
You see there, the shot goes up, and it's difficult to box out that far away. Nafisa Collier went running at her with the one hand to contest. And the shot just came off nicely off the rim, so DePaul could offensive rebound, put it back up.
Katie Lou Samuelson, 84% from the free throw line, had a team-high 22 in UConn's last game in the Virgin Islands. That was a win over Purdue, 86-40. UConn beating Ole Miss and St. John's as well during the Thanksgiving holiday.
Trips like that are such terrific ways to bond as a team, get to travel.
Rebecca Dahlman into the game. Another open look for DePaul. That's their 7th three-point attempt already here in the first minutes of this game. Tanita Allen, a senior, is in. Here comes another three. Rebound by Collier. As Mike talked about at the top of the show, 54% of DePaul's field goal attempts are from outside the three-point line, and fighting fire with fire, Megan Walker comes back and knocks down a three for UConn.
Not something we're used to seeing. Haven't seen Walker take a lot of three-point shots. Nice to see her take it and make it.
Good ball movement from DePaul. Another three-point look.
I like that they're letting them play.
Williams. And Katie Lou Samuelson couldn't hold on to the tough pass. Turnover UConn.
I like the idea by the freshman Williams there, trying to get into traffic and kick it out to your three-point sharpshooter.
Sitting here, this feels like how Doug Bruno wants it. It feels very frenetic here right now. Is that the vibe you got?
Absolutely.
They're getting some looks.
Yeah, and they're touching all parts of the rim, just not falling down. The thing is, they will never stop shooting.
And a foul inside as Collier was trying to post up on Stonewall, who gets whistled for the personal foul.
And it's funny, though, today, one of the things that Doug did tell me today was they have to rebound the basketball against UConn.
Again, DePaul on the season, -2 in rebounding margin. UConn +5 in the early going this season. And a second chance here. Crystal Dangerfield knocks down the three. Crystal now 13 of 25 from outside the three-point line this season.
She is dialed in so far this year.
That three is knocked down by the senior Tanita Allen, second on this team in threes made and attempted.
Nice ball movement and spacing. They worked on their spacing today, did DePaul.
Samuelson for two.
Nice recognition, a little bit of a breakdown defensively. Good recognition by Samuelson to run off that ball.
Allman defended by Samuelson. Good defense there for UConn, but sticking with it on the glass is Stonewall. Averaging nearly 16 points a game, 7.5 rebounds a game. Dangerfield crosses her over. Stonewall got a hand on it, picked up by Campbell. Good defense by DePaul.
She's got to shoot that ball, Crystal.
Dahlman drops it back. Allen rips another three. Couple of three-pointers off the bench for Tanita Allen. Coming off a very strong game against Savannah State. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Good spark off the bench.
Well, they have depth. Yeah, they have depth. I mean, they had 6 players in double figures. UConn is lucky to get 6 players in the game.
Collier will try a three, and she follows up her miss and puts it in for her first 2. Dahlman three in transition. Offensive rebound to Paul. Allen, not this time. Kristen Williams. Ball on the floor. And it was last touched by UConn. It will be DePaul basketball when we come back. I think both teams need a little bit of a breather here. We'll take one as well. 3-point game. th meeting all time between UConn and DePaul. UConn has won the last 15 meetings between these two programs. They lead by 3 here in the first quarter. Time for Comel's Court Vision, brought to you by Yale New Haven Health. Meg?
You know, Crystal Dangerfield is a great quarterback and point guard of this team. But, you know, look at this play. You have to go in there thinking score. She went in there thinking pass. I mean, she turned her head over to Megan Walker. Watch this. Watch how she turns and looks, because she knows she's passing it. You got to go up and draw the foul and try to get the old school three-point play, or at least get a foul on Stonewall and then get yourself to the line. Don't go in there looking to pass.
DePaul keeps tapping into their bench, rotating players in and out, and Deepa Kelja comes in for the first time, sophomore from Ohio. DePaul basketball out of the media timeout. Marte Gray's back into the game. Allen, Campbell, Dahlman drives, broken up, batted away by Samuelson.
Good hands by Williams.
Samuelson kicks it over to Kristen Williams. Samuelson couldn't get it. Collier does.
How about the way Katie Lou Samuelson offensive rebounds these days? She's changed tremendously since her freshman year when she was just a three-point shooter. Now she does it all.
we dig. We didn't have to go too deep, by the way, into the archives to find Gino Auriemma criticizing her ability on the offensive glass.
Not too much to criticize these days.
You were saying?
On cue.
Timeout called by Doug Bruno as UConn comes out of that media timeout and rips off 5 quick points. So from inside the three-point line, Bruno's team is shooting 50%. Problem is, they're 3 for 13 outside the line for a combined 5 for 17 so far.
But you know what? The amazing thing is they will never stop shooting. You know, they went the first quarter against Syracuse, they were 0 for 15 from three-point range, and then they fought back. And then in the third quarter into the fourth, they held Syracuse scoreless for 8 minutes. And they lost in overtime.
Yep. Let's head back over to Justine.
Hey, Eric, well, in that previous huddle before the timeout, Gino talked to his team about their defense. He said you have to make DePaul dribble. He wants to see hands up. He wants them to be very close to these DePaul players. Got to make them dribble, and they have to start rebounding.
Well, DePaul's just shooting 29% so far, Justine. They have gotten some pretty good looks from outside the three-point line, not dropping for them. They'll try again. And another one that's halfway down and out.
And it's interesting that Gino wants them to dribble, Justine, because, you know, they've struggled in their lateral movement. Dangerfield has 1 foul already, 1 more, and she'll have to sit.
Collier, you can tell she likes that matchup right there as she goes to work on Pakelja and gets the 2.
Yeah, Collier is such a difficult matchup.
9-0 run for Connecticut. Williams with the defensive rebound. Collier puts it on the floor. Walker tried to thread it through to Samuelson. Jump ball, possession arrow, Connecticut.
You know, she's a tough matchup, Collier, because of her quickness against other big players. I mean, she just gets to the basket so fluidly, so beautifully.
Just like that, off the baseline, out of bounds play. And Collier, after missing her first 4 shots, has made 4 straight, fueling this 11-0 run for Connecticut.
Good defense there by Williams.
Defensive rebound for Williams and a foul called on Pakelja.
And that was one criticism Gino Auriemma did have for his freshman Williams, was her defense. Well, she has stepped it up a notch here tonight for sure.
Dahlman, the 6th-year senior, trying to hang with the freshman Williams, and that's tough to do. And Megan Walker hustles back to knock it away from Graves.
UConn in a terrific groove right now. The left-handed freshman up the floor with the right.
Williams extending the defense on Dahlman. Dangerfield on the overplay, knocked away, and out of bounds. It'll be Connecticut ball. 13-0 run for UConn.
That was a great move by Stonewall. She got herself open. She just couldn't finish. You know, that could be what Doug Bruno has alluded to. We talked to Justine and I about it this morning, and it's the mental aspect. His team has never quite had the right mental focus against UConn.
Dangerfield. And the foul called on Megan Walker. Here comes Kelly Campbell back onto the floor for DePaul. Doug Bruno, 33rd year, 672 wins. Gino Auriemma, 34th win. 34th season, I should say, 1,032 wins. Dangerfield. Shot clock is off. UConn will slow down and hold for a final shot. DePaul shooting 23% from the field, 3 for 17. That's 18% from outside the three-point line. UConn with the last possession. Walker for three. A 16-0 run for UConn will carry into the second quarter. After a bumpy start, UConn settles down. They put 32 points on the board, and more importantly, they hold DePaul to just 15 first quarter points. Megan Walker with the late three. 8 points in the quarter. 17-point lead for second-ranked Connecticut as we get ready for the second quarter. They are on a run right now. DePaul had a 3-point lead in the first quarter, about a minute in, but a 16-0 run currently for UConn has them up by 17. Let's go to Justine, whose report is brought to you by Chevy. Justine.
Hey, Eric. Well, these two head coaches have a very close friendship, and head coach Doug Bruno told me they also share a similar philosophy in basketball. He told me Gino and himself have a fondness for team basketball that you don't often see, and sharing the ball and moving the ball, and they both believe in player accountability, especially in practice, guys.
It's interesting because when you're coaching elite players like they have together for Team USA, and we all know who's on the roster, quite a few UConn players, but you got to have somebody who's on the same page, sees things similarly, and they've got quite the connection
Yeah,
when it comes to how they think basketball should be played in some ways.
No doubt. And, you know, they view the game the same way. They respect the game and the way it should be played. They're both very old school. Dare I say they're both old.
Don't say that.
But they're,
Justine, save Meg right now.
Right, I mean, but Justine, you heard Doug talking about it today. I mean, they were together last night, and Doug said, win or lose, we're going to get together tonight after the game, because, you know, that doesn't really matter. It's just being together, and the friendships in the game, that's what's important to them.
Absolutely, Meg. And Gino, you know, Doug said Gino is more about the X's and O's of basketball. His genius is his way with people, and you can't really copy that, is what Doug Bruno said. You have to do it your own version, your own way, but that really is what makes Gino special as a coach, and what Doug Bruno admires in him.
Doug's had a lot of success, 11 straight 20-win seasons at DePaul, his alma mater. Another missed three for DePaul.
But you watch, DePaul has gotten a bunch of open threes. They're going to start going down, and this game will change in a hurry.
Collier's pull up, well off the mark, and Samuelson takes a nasty spill. I think this foul's on DePaul.
And she was literally sandwiched. Let's check this out. She cut in there, trying to box out. That was a DePaul sandwich.
Fouls on Millender, her second personal. And illegal screen called on Collier.
I mean, Joe Vasili had that quick. I didn't see it. And Gino's same face. All you got to do is stand there. Don't move. It's Katie Lou's job to run her defender into you.
Morris. Good read by Williams to take away that pass.
Well, she wanted to get the ball up to Crystal. Crystal wasn't looking.
Samuelson went to pull up, couldn't get it, and a foul called on Megan Walker. That'll be her second personal foul. We'll see if this will bring UConn's first substitution of the night onto the floor.
Terrific cut by Samuelson, couldn't get it to go. I don't know how that's a foul on Walker. She had inside position and just went up for the ball.
Original starting five stays on the floor for Connecticut. Pass is thrown out of bounds.
It's 2 fouls on Walker. Is Gino going to take her out? Doug is imploring his team. What he's saying, I'm not quite sure. The man has a constant hoarse voice.
Walker corner three. That's her spot. She knocks down another three-pointer. 3 for 3 from outside the three-point line. She's leading Connecticut in scoring with 11. Came in averaging 11 points a game.
This is the best I've seen Megan Walker shoot in her UConn career.
19-0 run. Allen's had the hot hand. Another one that rattles out. They're going to take down mighty UConn. Those have to rattle and go down, not rattle and pop out. And that's been the case for DePaul.
And they're getting open shots.
3 for 19.
But then they can go on their run 18-0, 15-0. They've done it time and time again.
Samuelson's deep three is good. The threes are going down for Connecticut. 6 of 8 for the team, and the run continues.
So difficult to contend with UConn when Katie Lou Samuelson is shooting like that.
22 unanswered points. Samuelson saves it to Collier, and she's fouled by Kelly Campbell.
You know, spacing is so important, and making hard cuts and finding the open player. Nice screen there, body up by Collier, and a good play by Samuelson as she's having a hair situation.
This would be a time where Crystal Dangerfield, as a point guard, has to recognize that I have to walk it across half court for that hair situation to get taken care of. Kyla Irwin is into the game. She's the first one off the bench for UConn tonight as Megan Walker sits down. Walker leading UConn in scoring, 11 points on 3 of 3 shooting, all from outside the three-point line. Samuelson with 10, and Collier with 8.
Good time to get Walker out of the game with her 2 fouls.
Samuelson gambles. Gets back into the play. Inside of 6 to go in the first half. Gray's travel. Scoring drought continues for DePaul. They have not scored here in the second quarter. Watch SNY UConn basketball games anytime on any device with live streaming on SNY.TV and the NBC Sports app. Your home for live streaming coverage of every SNY UConn basketball game. Dangerfield, Collier, Samuelson, Irwin, Williams, the 5 on the floor for UConn. Collier, a little off balance, can't get it. But then a little mistake here, and it's thrown away. But they say tip last by Collier, so it will remain DePaul basketball. The last field goal for DePaul came with 4:21 to go in the first quarter. 5.5 to go in the second quarter. Dahlman back in. Lexi Held will check out. And Olivia Nelson-Adoda will make her first appearance for Connecticut.
I do think it's worth noting that this is DePaul's 5th game in 7 days. I mean, they've had a grueling schedule early in this season.
Dahlman can't get it. There's the Cancun Challenge. Came back to snowy Chicago to play on Monday night against Savannah State. If you want to stretch it out a little bit farther, Meg, this is their 6th game in the last 12 days. You stretch it out that far, it takes you back to when they took on #1 Notre Dame. So they have played some tough teams. Doda caught in deep and traveled.
She's lucky she didn't get called with an offensive foul there with that left elbow.
I'll get us to our media timeout. Comes with 4:55 to go in the second quarter. DePaul looking for their first points of the quarter. UConn has outscored DePaul 6-0 in the second quarter, stretching their lead to 23 against the 16th-ranked DePaul Blue Demons. DePaul this quarter, Meg, 0 for 5 from the floor. Good defense from UConn.
And we're going to see some different defensive looks for UConn this year. I mean, they can't play all man-to-man. They're going to have to pack in some zone, extend when they need to, follow the cutter, and the nice steal that time by Williams. they're going to, with fewer players and the lack of depth, Gino Auriemma is going to have to use some trick defenses, not just man-to-man. They can't do it.
DePaul 5 of 27 from the field. 3 for 21 from outside the three-point line. Meg mentioned the drought they had against Syracuse. They were 0 for 15 from outside the three-point line in the first quarter, but rallied back in that game. Ended up losing it overtime. Come out of the timeout with a miss, and the foul is called on DePaul.
Well, I thought that was going to be on Nelson Nadota coming over the back.
I think maybe they're changing it to that. Yes, it has been changed, so the foul is on the freshman. Kyla Irwin checks out. Nafisa Collier back in. Tipped by Samuelson. More good defense from Connecticut. Beautiful feed. Dangerfield to Williams.
Nice run up by Williams, the freshman. You know, UConn has done an outstanding job of getting ball pressure and getting a hand on the ball.
That ends the drought as Mikelja knocks down the three, her first points.
Good ball pressure is the key to any defense.
That three-pointer ends a 24-0 run for Connecticut. Shot is blocked by Stonewall. 4 to shoot for UConn.
And Stonewall was trying to say, come on, she hit it last. It's our ball. Gotta like the effort.
Shot clock winding down. Not sure that UConn realized that fully, and it's thrown away. Campbell threw it up, and a foul called on Connecticut.
That's the second foul on Nelson Nadota. I thought Crystal Dangerfield did a nice job not committing a foul here. She knows she has one. She didn't try to stop it. You see she got out of the way. And then just bodies a little bit out of control.
Irwin, Samuelson, Williams, Dangerfield, Collier on the floor for UConn. Rips down the rebound. That's her 7th rebound. She leads Connecticut in that category, averaging just under 10 boards a game. Samuelson stays hot.
She's the last person you want to leave open, ever.
3 for 3 from outside the three-point line tonight. On a pretty good run. She was 4 for 5 in the win against Purdue from three-point land. Dahlman's in trouble. And Irwin got caught up in the air and get called for the foul. One player who we will not see tonight for Connecticut is the redshirt junior from New York, Petuli Kamara. Hyperextended her right knee in practice on Monday when she stepped on a teammate's foot in practice. It's a sprained MCL. Now, we know Petuli has just been battling knee problems throughout her career. In fact, she had a knee injury as a sophomore. She made her debut December 8th of last year against DePaul. So she's been fighting to get regular minutes, and she found her role, it seemed, in the first 5 games as someone who Gino Auriemma might bring off the bench for a little toughness.
Yeah,
play a little D.
Yeah, played physical, rebound the basketball, do the little things. It's unfortunate this injury happened, but she's a great kid, a great teammate, and she'll fight her way back.
Played 7 minutes against Purdue, picked up 4 points. Samuelson, you know she just wants to keep firing the threes. 16 now for Katie Lou.
She believes every time it leaves her hand, it's going in.
Gino Auriemma talked about it, that once the team, not just Katie Lou, but the team sees those first couple of three-pointers go in, confidence level just comes up, and you can see with Katie Lou, she's ready. Catch, shoot, let it go.
Yeah, the team really feeds off her. That's a great point, Eric. When she makes them early, there's a different vibe with this UConn team.
And Katie Lou read it right away that Collier had a half step. A couple of seniors, all sorts of experience paying off right there as Collier lays it in for 2 more.
Great communication between those two. How many times have we seen Collier bring the ball up the floor as well? She can do it all herself.
Kelja is the one who scored on the other end, and now Samuelson inside the 3-point line, inside the paint.
That's another play there. Earlier in her career, Katie Lou Samuelson would not have been able to stop on a dime and finish. She would have gotten the charge call. Great body control and recognition.
Tough shot for Stonewall. Irwin fights for it, rips it away.
Doug Bruno was talking about how much he loves Kyla Irwin as a player.
Dangerfield with the finish. UConn getting whatever they want right now, and Doug Bruno wants a timeout. 1:25 to go in the second quarter.
I mean, back in the day, this would have been a charge. She would have, boom, gone into it. But you get older, you get more mature, read the defense. And then how about that? Great pass, great cut. Nice finish.
You know, you pointed out, too, with Katie Lou early in the game that you saw her getting on the glass and really active. I think she has come out here UConn in that opening 2 minutes. DePaul was getting some open looks, doing what they wanted, but Samuelson set the tone, and not just with knocking down threes, but with doing some of those little things. She's got a couple of offensive rebounds tonight, 6 rebounds in total to go along with her good shooting night. 6 of 9 from the field, 18 points to lead UConn.
That's what leaders do, and she's really grown into this leadership role. She's a senior. She and Nafisa Collier, roommates, best friends. They're the leaders on this team, and Samuelson's really grown into that leadership role.
Michaela Coombs into the game for UConn for the first time. Dahlman for 3. Rebecca Dahlman with her first points, averaging just under 9 a game. Won't go down, but she'll get a trip to the free throw line.
I know body strength there by Collier.
Maybe a little early for me to bring it up, but I'm anxious to do it. Collier's got 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to come out and say triple-double watch, although I think I just did. I'm still reeling from what you talked about at the very top of the telecast.
Come on, you got kids.
I'm sure it's going to be viral by the time we're done here today. Meg, mother of 3. Bringing it all together. Basketball analysis.
Tell you, it's
childbirth analysis. Life analysis.
It's all connected.
Dahlman can't get it. Collier will track down another rebound, but she couldn't save it.
It's interesting. When I saw Batuli Kamara, who's clapping in the background, when I saw her sitting there, I thought, it's kind of a dangerous place to be sitting if you've got a knee injury. Because if a player comes running off the floor, you could be in trouble.
Even with the knee injury, I think Batuli would still try to take the charge.
She would. She will.
It's off, and a rebound for Samuelson. Samuelson was fouled by Kelja. I beg your pardon, Campbell with foul. That's her 3rd personal. So she'll go to the bench, and Sonia Morris will come back in. It's a veteran team for DePaul. 4 returning starters, 5 of the 6 top scorers back from last year. This is a team that's hosting an NCAA regional as they try to get to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2016. Got the pieces, expected to compete for another Big East championship. They've won 5 straight regular season titles, won the tournament title last year, and they're 3rd overall. And it will be DePaul ball.
Samuelson called for the walk, and she looked at Tom Danaher like, what? What did you call?
DePaul will not get a final shot off. UConn dialed things up defensively at the end of the first quarter. It carried over to the second quarter. UConn went on a 24-0 run in the first half, helped them to a 54-25 lead. Here's Gino and Justine.
Gino, your team went on a 24-0 run from the first quarter to the second quarter. They didn't look back since. What allowed that to happen?
Well, I think our rebounding's been really, really good. I mean, it's hard to rebound against DePaul because their players are all over the place, so they've got you scrambling. But I thought we did a phenomenal job rebounding, and that led to a lot of easy transition baskets. You know, like anything else, when we're playing well, it's because our defense is really good.
First thing you want to tell your team at the half here?
Well, when you're playing a team that's going to shoot as many threes as DePaul's going to shoot, you have to be careful that you don't get a little bit lax, because they can come down and make 10 in a row, and then all of a sudden it's a new ball game.
All right, Gino, thank you so much. The UConn Huskies up 54-25 at the half. Katie Lou Samuelson, the senior, having a huge night. 18 points, 4 for 4 from the three-point line. We're back with the halftime show after this.
Pretty impressive first half on both ends of the floor, all over the floor for number 2 UConn as they lead 53-25. Eric and Meg back with you here courtside. We all know what's coming up Sunday afternoon. UConn will be at number 1 Notre Dame in South Bend. You thought maybe they would look ahead, that maybe this was a trap game against a nationally ranked team. No chance, and the seniors made sure of that.
Yeah, the leadership on this team, the seniors are ready, they're focused, they are locked in, and they shot the ball exceptionally well, led by Katie Lou Samuelson, 4 of 4 from behind the arc. Look how she reads the defense beautifully, uses the Collier screen. Shooting 80% as a team from behind the arc in that first half. And Collier, she's just so quick with the basketball. She can face up, get by the defenders, the weak side help. Irrelevant, and reading the defense again, has 11 points. UConn shooting 61% from the floor. And as you indicated earlier, all-around game by Collier.
11 for Walker, 11 for Collier, 18 for Samuelson. Pressure from DePaul to start third quarter, making it a little challenging for Samuelson to get it into play. They're still trying to find Crystal Dangerfield, and finally the point guard has it, and UConn will run their offense. Megan Walker traveled.
I even heard Chris Daly on the bench go, what? Surprising call.
Well, you talked about it throughout the first half, even though UConn did what they wanted to, especially during that 24-0 run, that DePaul, a team that lives by the 3. Maybe they die by it in the first half, but they can get going in the second half as they get a 3 on one end, and UConn answers back with a 2.
I mean, they're a team that you can never, ever rest. It doesn't matter. They will continue to jack up threes. They are relentless.
Gino mentioned that, talking to Justine, walking off the court at the end of the first half. Good start for DePaul as they get a couple of early hoops. Morris now a 7, and a foul called on Megan Walker. That'll be her 3rd personal.
And these are the little things that are going to happen in a game for Gino Auriemma. And Walker now has 3, so you're going to have to consider sitting her. And the dynamic changes when they go to their bench.
No move yet to the bench, so Walker will play with 3. UConn in the zone. DePaul shoots over the top of the zone with Campbell.
2 for 2 from behind the arc.
First points for Kelly Campbell, averaging 7.5 points a game.
And Gino said it to Justine at the half. Like, you can't stop against these guys, because in the blink of an eye, the game will change because of their propensity to jack up threes.
Dangerfield cut to the basket, then lost the basketball. Turnover UConn. Campbell on the run. An open look, and another three for DePaul. A different team coming out of the locker room is Millender, now with 8.
Terrific extra pass to find Millender in the corner.
An 11-2 burst here in the first 2 minutes of the quarter.
Always talk about the first 5 minutes of this third quarter. See what happens, and DePaul has dominated.
Collier well off the mark. Scramble for the basketball, won by DePaul. Grace. Dangerfield comes down for the rebound. Williams accelerates to the basket for 2. Double figures now for the freshman who scored 17 against Purdue last time out, 10 tonight. Grace, Walker playing with the 3 fouls, and Gray scores.
Smart defense there by Walker. Just play hands up. Don't do anything silly.
First points for Grays, averaging almost 10 a game. Collier for 2.
She really is impossible to defend in the post. She has so many different ways of scoring.
15 points on 7 of 14 shooting.
Nice cut.
Good finish, too, by Millender. Looked like she got caught in a little too deep, but was able to get it to go. On the drive, and the officials confer it will be UConn ball.
So Collier catches it mid-post, reads the defense, no one's near her, she will shoot it. Now, if a post player then comes up to her, she can go around.
Four on the shot clock as Collier scores again.
It's all about reading the defense. The senior did it exceptionally well.
17 now for Nafisa. Go with 6 rebounds, 6 assists, I beg your pardon, and 7 boards. That's well off the mark, and it comes out to Williams.
Gino's clapping for them to move. Get the ball side to side, cut. Make DePaul guard them. That's the matchup right now.
Samuelson. Stonewall with the rebound. Stonewall tries to drive on Collier. Good defense there. Knocked away. They play on. Samuelson got hit in the face. Nothing was called.
But I think the ball hit her in the face, right?
Three-pointer for DePaul. Oriema's out across half court. He's going to get teed up here. I haven't seen him call for the tee yet. Did you, Meg? Oh, he was out at half court, so no question he's going to get teed up. And he wanted it, too.
Was it a smack with the hand or with the ball? It was the ball.
Well, it was a hand going into the ball. Gino was way out of the coach's box, so he got teed up. And technical foul called. Well, you'll take a timeout. 18-point game here in the third. UConn head coach Gino Oriema still upset, just received a technical foul. This is the sequence. First, the contact to Samuelson.
Watch this, the hand to the ball. Thankfully for Samuelson, it hit her in the cheek and not in the nose.
And then Gino Oriema, as DePaul came back the other way, he was out at half court.
And you know what? You respect that reaction. He's trying to protect his player.
Well out of the coach's box, an easy tee for the officials. So a couple of free throws coming up for Kelly Campbell. First tee for Gino this year. That's the first free throw miss for Kelly Campbell this year. She was 15 for 15.
Yeah, this team doesn't miss from the free throw line, shooting 88% as a team. Doug is having some fun with it anyway.
Well, his team has outscored Connecticut 19-8 here in this quarter. DePaul shooting 7 of 10 from the field since halftime. Samuelson will try the 2 and get it. 20 points for Katie Lou.
That's another shot in her repertoire that she didn't have early in her career, off the dribble.
Lost out of bounds, turnover for DePaul.
I just love the way Samuelson is always thinking shot the ball fake, get the defender off, the help coming from the weak side too late.
Collier, the feed from Samuelson, and a good finish by Nafisa.
They work so well together, don't they, Eric?
19 points for Collier. Fight for the rebound. Morris got a hand in there. It'll be Connecticut basketball.
The seniors have been through a lot together, and the nice slip off that screen.
Game over.
Absolutely.
She gets in deep. 4 assists for Samuelson. 6 assists for Collier. 5 assists for Dangerfield. Wants it back. Collier again slips to the basket. Pass out to the corner. Walker can't get the 3. Williams kept to the line. Beautiful finish by the freshman.
Whoa! Some acrobatics.
UConn making the necessary adjustments out of the timeout. Kristen Williams with 12 points and 5 rebounds and a beautiful finish. The UConn women's basketball team returns to the XL Center for a Saturday afternoon game, December 8th, tipping off with Seton Hall at 1 p.m. Tickets start at just $12 at UConnTickets.com. UConn women's basketball, the basketball capital of the world. Connecticut's been outscored here in the third quarter, but they still have a comfortable lead over 16th ranked DePaul. 67-44. Kristen Williams providing a spark. 12 points for Williams on 6 of 8 shooting. Up and down. UConn shooting great as a team at 63% here against DePaul.
And they've done it with a lot of different weapons and in a lot of different ways. They've done it in transition. They've done it in half-court offense. They've done it by attacking the glass.
Grays to Campbell. That 3 is off the mark. Grays with the rebound. That 3 is off the mark. Sensing a theme here. DePaul is now 9 of 35 from outside the three-point line. They attempted 41 Monday against Savannah State. 47 in the overtime game against Syracuse. Deep 3 from Dangerfield. Easy rebound for Walker. Right place, right time. 13 points for Megan.
I just love the confidence that Megan Williams is playing with. Megan Walker.
Krista Dangerfield, she'll win most races to a loose ball. Breakdown for Connecticut, and Millender gets loose. She's leading the way for DePaul with 15.
Nice ball fake there, and in practice today, Doug kept saying, fake a pass to make a pass. And that old school pass fake. Kids don't use it so much today.
Collier forced one to Samuelson. She couldn't get it. Here's Graves running back the other way.
You can't telegraph a pass that much. Could he use the ball fake, though?
Williams takes the handoff. Count it, and the foul.
Showing her explosiveness going to her left hand. This kid doesn't play like a freshman. Because she came off that screen, that ball. Handoff so close to Collier.
Now, Gino said coming out of St. Thomas that he had to get Kristen Williams more involved in the offense. 15 points. Excellent shooting.
And she stepped up her game defensively, not that particular possession.
Lexi Held gets her first points. Dangerfield, step back two.
How about that play? Dribble, penetrate hard, and then that step back. That's not an easy shot.
Quickly back the other way. Collier rips down the rebound. That's her 8. Dangerfield, crossover behind the back to Collier. Collier with the finish.
What's the word that Gino uses for Collier? Relentless.
21 points now for Collier, and Walker picks up her 4th.
I think that foul was on Collier.
Okay.
But that, creating the space with the step back. And then facing up. Defense can't stay with her. They got no chance.
Meg is right again. Second personal foul on Collier.
She whacked her arm.
Walker will go to the bench as Olivia Nelson Dodo will come back in.
And this is where Nelson Ododo can get some really good minutes. They need her to get quality minutes on the floor to be prepared for later in the season.
Final minute of the third quarter. DePaul came out firing in this quarter. UConn stemmed the tide. And that's going to be another foul on the freshman. That's her 3rd.
She wound up a little bit for that screen. I appreciate the effort to make that contact, and that's not something the coach would be that upset about, but it can't be that obvious.
3 fouls in 2 minutes, though, will probably trump anything else.
Absolutely.
10 seconds to go in the quarter.
It's not going to keep you on the floor, that's for sure.
2 seconds. Williams, I think, got a piece of that one, challenging the 3-point attempt by Allen. That will do it for the third quarter. UConn on top of 16th ranked DePaul by 25, heading to the fourth. Time for the game reset presented by Foxwoods. We reset the score, a little bit of a tweak during the timeout. It's a 26-point lead for UConn, 78-52. The seniors leading the way. 21 points for Napisa Collier, 20 for Katie Lou Samuelson. And with more on Katie Lou, here's Justine.
Well, Eric, we're seeing Katie Lou Samuelson play freely for the first time in a while this season. She had surgery on her left ankle in April. She played a good chunk of this season last year with that injury, and she told me, I didn't realize how much it was affecting me. I couldn't practice fully. I was practicing shooting without jumping for so long. She even had to be careful with it just walking. So obviously, having that fix, feeling healthy, a big weight off her shoulders, guys.
Well, Justine, we know how limited she was last year, fought through it, and then got that surgery right after the year ended.
It's just not only does it weigh on you physically, it weighs on you mentally. It affects everything that you do. I'm happy for the kids. She can at least have a season she can get through the season healthy with, you'll have your regular aches and pains, but to not have that constant pain of her ankle would be huge.
Gino Auriemma told me she looks a lot better, Meg. And last year she had to worry about that injury, but Gino said the pressure's not off her yet. We really need her on the perimeter. That's where we need her to contribute. She has to make a lot of three-pointers this year for us.
Well, it feels like that's going to be a theme, and the biggest test will come Sunday of the young season at Notre Dame as Dangerfield knocks down the three-pointer. She's in the double figures now with 12. Do you feel like there is more pressure on this senior class than what we've seen in the past? Gabby Williams and Kia Nurse last year, they had Samuelson and Collier and Dangerfield supporting them. Feels like these seniors, and Dangerfield is an outstanding point guard. There's a lot on their shoulders this year with the lack of depth for UConn this year.
Yeah, there is. There's a ton. But when you're a senior, that's what you want.
Collier, count it in the foul.
I mean, you want it to be on your shoulders. It's your team. And I guarantee you there's no one putting any more pressure on them than they're putting on themselves. Nice. Nice anticipation, crash on the boards by Collier.
Well, this is a big stretch of games for Nafisa Collier. She's got the game here tonight where she's playing great, leading UConn in scoring with 24 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Game against Notre Dame coming up Sunday afternoon, and then after the game, the team's flying to St. Louis. She'll have her homecoming game on Tuesday against the Billikens, but before that, she'll have her number retired at her high school, Incarnate Word. So that number 24 getting retired. It sounds like the UConn team is going to go to her high school and be a part of it and get together there. So that's going to be a pretty cool homecoming for Nafisa Collier coming up. But first, a game against some team from South Bend on Sunday.
Oh, is that it?
Collier gets a hand in there, and possession arrow UConn. At 19 points, 10 rebounds at the Paradise Champ finale against Purdue. Knocking on the door of another double-double. Would be her 4th this year. Kayla Coombs into the game. She's out there with Dangerfield, Collier, Samuelson, and Nelson Adota. To shoot. Collier from deep. And there's a rebound. She's got another double-double. You can see Gino Auriemma from the bench told UConn to bring it out. He wanted to run a play for his freshman big, and Nelson Adota finished it off.
Well, that face there didn't say that he was necessarily happy with it, but it was good execution. Good bucket for the freshman.
Yeah, a good result isn't enough. It's how it's executed. Held, banks in the 3.
Speaking of, you think Doug is as happy with the bank in 3? I don't think he cares.
Doug will probably say after the game, we had enough go in and out in the first half that we were due one to go off the glass. Samuelson, 4-3, 23 now for Katie Lou. Collier couldn't get it. Coombs gets it. Inside of 7 to go in the 4th quarter. Coombs had an open lane, but gave it up to Samuelson. Now Coombs' degree of difficulty goes up, and she gets called for the offensive foul. She'll look back at that film and say, oh, it could have been so much easier.
And it will be pointed out to her in a film session for sure.
Next Saturday, UConn will be on SNY as Collier and Samuelson and the Huskies will take on Seton Hall here at the XL Center. Our coverage begins at 1 p.m. next Saturday, right here on SNY. And Collier and Samuelson heading to the bench. Their day done here. 23 points for Katie Lou. 8 of 12 shooting, 5 of 6 from outside the three-point line. She had 8 rebounds. That's 1 off her career high. 4 assists for Samuelson. Collier, 24 points. That's a game high. 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Third straight double-double for Collier. First time she's had 3 straight double-doubles in her career. Now 28 for her career.
Fourth foul on Nelson Adota. It's not how you want to stack up on that stat sheet.
Grace gets by Kyla Irwin. Wild shot off the glass. Picked up by Stonewall. Grace inside, no. Irwin tries to get it to Dangerfield. It's Walker, Nelson Adota, Coombs, Irwin, and Dangerfield. The 5 on the floor right now for UConn. And a foul on the entry pass called against DePaul. Well, before the game, the news today was Haley Jones, the #1 ranked player in the country, made her choice, and it wasn't Connecticut. She picked Stanford. Gino Auriemma telling us this afternoon he didn't seem very surprised. He was disappointed, of course, because he thought highly of the player, but he wasn't surprised that she stayed close to home. So this signing class consists of Aubrey Griffin from Ossining, New York. That's been a pretty good pipeline to Connecticut as UConn scores to go over the 90-point mark. The freshman for this year's class, along with Krista Williams. Adota puts it in. Coombs got a hand on it. Picked up by Dangerfield. Dangerfield almost. Meg and I were halfway out of the seat. It just wouldn't go down for Crystal.
Shows you some of the supreme athleticism.
Coombs, good first step, hangs in the air and finishes.
Nice job avoiding the contact.
Inside of 5 to go. Campbell for 3. Delly Campbell, first team all Big East last year. Coombs, the feed from Irwin for 2 more.
Great minutes here for Coombs. Terrific pass from Irwin. UConn is going to need these bench kids.
Nelson Adota pulls down the rebound. And a timeout being called by Gino Auriemma. He wants to get Molly Benn into the game. That'll get us to our media timeout. Comes with 4:18 to go here in the 4th quarter. UConn cruising here at home against DePaul. UConn up by 35. Time for the drive of the game, brought to you by Nissan. Plenty to choose from in this game. DePaul Collier supplying a few of the drives.
How about that? I mean, from the top of the key, face up. Defense comes at her, that quick step and dribble to the hoop. Very few post players in the country can guard her because she can shoot the jump shot. She can get around you on the dribble. Very difficult to guard, smart basketball player.
Came into the game shooting just under 60% from the field. 11 of 19 from the field for Collier. Team high 24 points. Molly Bent into the game for UConn as we approach 4 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And that's tipped out of play. Just one final thought about recruiting. Just one member freshman class. And we talked to Gino about, well, would you take a graduate transfer? And he said, sure. I think the situation has to be right. It's got to be somebody who can come fill a void that they need an answer there. But that's not something that UConn's very used to, but it's something that more and more teams are utilizing. So I wouldn't be shocked to see UConn jump in on that.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they're in a situation where they need some recruits in here, and if you can get someone from, you know, in a grad transfer kind of way. Why not?
Last year they considered the 2 grad transfers from Mississippi State, Andreal Howard and Danny Williams. That didn't work out. So, you know, it still has to be right. Fit, sure.
Yeah. And,
but,
you know, there's also Europe, too. I mean,
that's a good point.
They're always looking over there. It's just not always been right. You know, when you've been in the game as long as they have connections everywhere. All over the country, you know, and then with his USA basketball experience, he's got experience all over the world.
Yeah, there wasn't the sense that the sky is falling because they didn't get the #1 or #3
You're not going to get them all the time.
Although they got the #1 recruit 3 in the last 4 years.
So you figure stats had to, you know, had to be working against them.
Irwin couldn't get it to go, and it's Campbell.
Good move by Irwin. Just got stuck too far under the hoop.
Williams pulls down the rebound. You get an idea of what Michaela can do. She gets down the court pretty quickly, and Megan Walker tees up a 3. And a foul is called on Connecticut. So UConn's going to pick up their 6th win, and next up will be Notre Dame. The Irish taking on Iowa, very good team. That will be in South Bend tomorrow night. They just came up with a victory against Oregon State last time out. They were down in that game. One thing that Notre Dame has in common with UConn, they don't get a ton from their bench. In fact, in that Oregon State game, Oregon State outscored them 30-0 in bench points, but their starting 5, Notre Dame, is phenomenal, and it should look pretty familiar to what we saw last year in their run to an NCAA title.
Yeah, and one name we didn't have on the screen, Jackie Young, UConn fans know, lit up UConn last year in the Final Four, and against Notre Dame, against DePaul earlier this season, had 28 points and 12 rebounds. They have a lot of weapons.
Brianna Turner making a return this year after suffering a season-ending knee injury back in 2017. Outstanding defensive player, and everybody knows about Arike Ogunbowale.
I mean, think about how many kids they lost last year to ACL. Was it 4?
Yes.
And they still won the national championship. So they are #1 for a reason.
So that will be Sunday afternoon. UConn looks like they'll be without Batuli Kamara, so one of their bench pieces.
And they could use her body and physicality on Sunday. Too bad she won't be able to play.
2.5 to play. You know full well that Notre Dame rivalry. You've seen so many of those games, those classic games. Molly Bent gets to the basket for 2. Her first 2 of the season.
And it was a pretty 2. Splitting the defense, driving to the basket.
Jolene Denninger into the game for DePaul. Here's held, and she's hit by Megan Walker.
How about this play? Boom, ball fake, split the defense. A little bit off balance, but gather yourself. Samuelson loved it.
Couple of free throws here for Lexi Held. Next up for DePaul, they'll host Temple on Monday. Then they'll take on Northwestern on Wednesday, and then at Oklahoma next Sunday. They played a very challenging schedule with UConn and Notre Dame, #2 and #1 in the national rankings.
You know, I was talking to Jill Pizzotti, associate head coach at DePaul, a good friend of mine, and she's saying, Meg, not only has our schedule been already grueling, she said, we then, you know, you just said the week they have coming up, culminating with that game against Oklahoma. There's Jill. Great coach in this game.
Kelja for 3. One player in double figures tonight for DePaul. It's Ashton Millender, the senior, with 15 points. Megan Walker. Kyla Irwin kept it alive. Coombs couldn't get it, and Irwin tried again, but gets called for the foul this time.
Great hustle by Irwin. Too bad Coombs couldn't knock it down. How about this? Just a nice little tap. You got to make that, Michaela. Maybe it's that rim. It was halfway down. That was DePaul was every shot was halfway down in the first half.
Well, UConn fell behind by 3 in the opening minute of the game as DePaul came out as we expected, firing threes. A little rough start, a little ragged. But once it settled down, UConn went on a 24-0 run. They were up 17 after one quarter. They're up 28 at halftime. And right now, 3 points away from 100. Walker. Coombs was fouled.
I just love the purpose that Megan Walker is playing with. And the way she gets herself to the basket, just the way she carries herself this year is 1,000% different than last year.
Is that the big challenge for her and for her head coach to get her to sustain that for longer periods of time? Because I still think it's flashes for her. We've seen more flashes, but that light's got to stay on the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the challenge that Gino and his staff and Megan and her teammates have. And you talk about the seniors putting pressure on themselves to go out the right way. Well, the underclassmen have that pressure to want to do all the right things for their seniors.
Traveling violation. It will be Connecticut ball inside of a minute to play. Doug Bruno's team came in averaging 86 points a game. Some strong defense from Connecticut. For long stretches in that first half. Kristen Williams, Kyla Irwin, the only one who hasn't scored for UConn. She feeds it to Coombs and through the hands of Walker. Shot clock is turned off. Final seconds here at the XL Center. Dahlman travel. And that should do it. UConn just needs to put it into play. And they have picked up a victory against a nationally ranked team. Next up, number 2 UConn at number 1 Notre Dame.
Buckle up. It's going to be a good one.
99-63 the final here at the XL Center. UConn with 32 points in that first quarter. For the game, they end up shooting 61%. They held DePaul to 33% shooting. DePaul did get up more than 43 pointers. They were 12 of 44 from outside the three-point line here today. And it's UConn picking up the win. And let's hear from Gino. He's with Justine.
Gino, heading into the second half, you talked about how important it was for your team to stay focused. How'd they handle that as a whole in the second half?
Well, I think for 5 minutes in the third quarter, I thought we showed just how immature we are, you know. We talked about it in the locker room about how when you play teams like this, you know, they're not going to stop playing. And we gave up 25 points in the first half, and they scored 18 in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter. So I think we learned a little bit of a lesson there, and you know, we're good enough to turn it around, which was really good.
You held DePaul to just over 30% shooting. What'd you like about what your team did on the defensive end?
Well, that was some of us playing really good defense, some of them missing a lot of open shots, but I thought our defense was really, really good. The first half, it was really good, really good. And then for large parts of the second half, it was. But we were active, you know. We just did a really good job against a really difficult team to defend, as you can see. And, you know, we're getting better. That's all I care about. We're getting a little bit better every game.
So you have this win under your belt. You have a huge matchup coming up with Notre Dame. What will the focus be in practice this week, Gino?
Well, I don't think it's going to be that much different than what we've been doing. You know, we've got some things we got to shore up. We got some things we got to get better at. But obviously, we're playing a team that's really, really good, and they're experienced and they're talented as heck, and they score a ton of points, and it's not an easy place to play. So other than that, I think we got a lot going for us.
Thanks, Gino. Congrats on the win. Best of luck. Thank you.
Other than that, how'd you like to play, Mrs. Lincoln? Yes. Tonight's player of the game, presented by People's United Bank, is Nafisa Collier. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Another double-double for Nafisa. That is her 4th this season, and she is standing by with Justine.
Nafisa, this was your third double-double in a row. Tongue twister there. What's been working well for you that you've been able to execute in that way for the past 3 games?
Just really going in to get the ball, trying to see where, the fly of the ball and going after it.
And what did you see out there from DePaul, and what did you like about the way you adjusted as you started both of the halves? It was slow for a little bit, but you guys made some adjustments. What were they?
I mean, they're really good shooters, and they can shoot from really deep. So just getting a hand up and coached in the locker room, we know they're going to shoot a lot, but just making sure that none of them are easy shots. And I thought we did a good job of that, especially in the first half, and then we lagged a little bit coming out of halftime. And then I thought we picked it up a little bit, but just trying not to have that lull in between.
How is the leadership evolving between you and Katie Lou Samuelson, especially today in this game?
Today in this game? Just trying to refocus ourselves. Like I said, we kind of had a lull in coming out of halftime, so just making sure that we're all on the same page and we're setting a good example for them. And when we do have times like that, refocusing everybody. This DePaul team gave Notre Dame some trouble. What kind of boost is this win for your team heading into this big matchup in South Bend? Well, the thing about that is it doesn't matter what the other games are. It's always a new game when we play anyone. We always get their best, and I'm sure it's going to be a good game on Sunday. All right, thanks, Nafisa. Best of luck. Eric, back to you. Thanks.
All right, Justine, thanks very much. Game face already for Nafisa, getting ready for Sunday afternoon. Once again, the final score, UConn wins at 99-63 to improve to 6-0 on the season. Our next UConn women's game on SNY will be back here in Hartford Saturday, December 8th, 1 o'clock, as the Huskies will take on the Seton Hall Pirates. So for Meg Como, Justine Ward, producer Gerard Guilfoyle, director John DeMarsico, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Eric Freed. Thank you for watching, and so long from Hartford.